Looks like we're going live, yo.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're live.
This is
Next.
the link.
How do I do that? Hold on. I need to click on a button. How do I go to the YouTube stream where I have my YouTube?
If you just pull up YouTube, you should see, it'll likely say that you're streaming somewhere. And then you probably copy, paste
Hold on.
the link in there.
Hold on. Uh-oh. I'm having a hard time, yo. One sec. So I'm on my page. Home. Nope. Nope. My profile, maybe? Your channel? It doesn't know that I'm streaming. Yo.
Oh, I have to send them an invite.
Oh, because I'm listed. See?
Maybe I shouldn't do unlisted, huh?
See if you go to your or YouTube Studio and then see.
YouTube Studio. Okay, studio.youtube.com. Go. Okay.
Come up there.
It doesn't know that I'm streaming, I think.
Go to Content and click Live.
Content. Live. Yeah, okay, something is here.
It's possible that one is from earlier.
Nope, it's now. Live now.
Okay, cool.
Options. Get shareable link. Alright, here's the shareable link. Now, should I make it... Okay, how do I get my chat from here now? Found it. I think I found it. Okay. Let's pop out the chat.
I'm gonna mute in case something.
Pop.
Reverberation.
Why would you have reverberations?
Oh, she's gonna have headphones.
Oh. Okay, my chat's on. Y'all are on. I think we're all set to go. Let's engage. Shall we engage? Are you hearing a loud plane in the background?
No.
Really? I have such good noise cancellation. Dev wants to join. No, he's not allowed to join. He has to join the live stream. Hello, Devin.
Devin Sharma.
What you doing here, Dev?
Oh,
Well, you're on your phone, Dev.
well, this is not useful.
So don't join the meet. Join our live stream and then chat me so that I can say things to you.
Join the live stream. Okay, that's a Twitch link then, yeah?
YouTube.
You
Okay.
see the previous chat.
Alright, just send me the link. I'll be walking for the next, like, we're gonna have like a pretty long walk, like 2 hours, so we can video chat till my phone dies, essentially.
What? This.
Dodge the rain to go for a walk.
This is a serious business meeting. This isn't for fun.
I know, I'm taking it seriously. Don't I look serious?
I'm kicking you out because you're not serious.
But how can you go on a walk?
It's like Dad had this itch over here, and he was like, I'm gonna scratch that.
Oh,
That was funny.
a little savage, but I like it.
All right. I want to see him join my stream. Will he join it?
So you can send him the link. I'm witnessing the removing on the stream.
The savagery.
Okay, let's go. Time to actually do some work. All right, Satch. Let's start by you pulling up your VS Code and sharing the session with me and Rickles. And this, it occurs to me now that it's not exactly safe for everyone to see the share link, because then anybody could join. But the share link becomes invalid after you close the session. So it should be it should be okay. It should be safe enough.
If anything happens,
What's your evil
just
laugh?
close your laptop.
Welcome, Dev, to my first live stream.
That was why you had that evil laugh. Because of your evilness.
Who's evil?
Not done, that's for sure.
I'm not evil, and I'm gonna kick anyone else who's evil out of my awesome chat room.
Oh my god.
All right, Sat, share your VS Code there with copy the link, and we need to find a way to share it so that it doesn't accidentally end up in the video. This time is okay, but we should find a method of chatting that's secure.
I can't.
Well, as long as the
We're doing well,
window-
Dev. How's it going?
as long as your Chrome window is outside that 1080p radius that you've created.
Yeah,
Similar
it,
to where it sits in the.
yeah. You
your
know
chat-
what?
your
I'm gonna
chat.
move my chat window over. Yeah, beautiful. I have a chat window now that is in a nice. Okay, so you can send stuff to our Leavla chat, and it will not be in the stream. As long as you also don't put it in the stream, because you're currently sharing your window.
So how do I send it to by chat without putting it in this window?
Stop sharing for a sec.
Oh, then do it? Okay. How do I share my VS Code link?
It's copied already.
Wait, what link are we talking about?
Okay, so go to the share button. It's that arrow thingy over a circle.
Oh. So I should unshare my screen now and do
It's okay. Don't worry about it. Next time, we'll figure it out. Click share.
share.
Okay, sign in if you need to with GitHub. Click the GitHub thing to sign in. Looks like you are signed in. Oh, look at this. We're already there. Okay. Can
I
you
never closed
just
this session, that might be why.
can you just right click me? Invite.
By email?
No, just invite. Let me see if it... Yeah, accept. Okay, that's sufficient, and it doesn't share anything. Okay, that's great. We'll do it this way. Now also invite Darkmon.
He's green.
Yeah, invite Darkmon.
Oh yes. Look, no, you don't need any links now.
You guys are different colors. You're different colors this time. Go type in places. Go click places right.
In app.js. Do you see me in app.js?
Nah, that's okay. I'll find you later.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to the screen again.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to put you guys over to the side here as well. Oh my goodness, this is so great, you guys. Because I have you in my window not being shared on the interwebs. This is great. Let me see. Oh, but I can't see the chat anymore.
Oh,
Hey Dev, can you see can you see us?
I can see you, done.
Wait.
Done.
Can I know who's in the chat? Oh yeah, Dev's still there. Okay. All right, this is good. So, you guys, so you're not following along with my stream, right? You guys?
I have it
No, I'm
open.
following you via Google Meet. And I have the stream open.
Similar.
Oh, nice.
Same dude.
Okay, let's talk. Okay, let's go. Yeah? I think we're ready. Let's go through
Let's
stuff.
do this.
So, are you guys on app.js? give me a sec. I want to make the chat. Oh, this is brilliant. Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh my gosh. I can do so many cool things.
Hey, how are there 4 people already?
Okay. Neato. So I can make my window nice and small at the bottom here so I can see you and I can see what you're doing in a tiny little window. And then I can have my chat open. Oh, wow. Life is good. LG.
This is nice. Nobody can see my screen. Haha.
All right. So, I mean, I can see what you're presenting. And you can, in fact, share what you're presenting here. And I'll be able to see both you and Rickles. And you should be able to see me via the stream. If you want. Okay. All right. So, let's start. Finally, hopefully. That's a Felicia Day thing to say. I don't know what that means.
What is it?
Felicia Day is from,
I'm Felicia Day.
yeah, she's from, no, not Gilly Gilly.
She's from the Guild.
From, oh,
And from other stuff. Sun-dried tomatoes. Whatever. Geek and sun-dried.
Felicia Day.
Sun-dried.
Oh.
Oh, she's from that too?
Sorry, I was mixing her up with, who's that girl? It's Jess.
Jess
Oh, new girl?
Day, not Felicia Day.
Yeah, sorry.
Zoe Deschanel.
Okay, let's go. Finally, let's get started. Yes. So we can make some work. All right.
Darn it.
So I'm currently on app.js. Do you see me there?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I just want to talk a little bit about what I did to make the login work. So do you see this here? Function login at line 31.
Yeah. You created the button.
Yeah, so this was all I did to make a sign in button as a single component on the page. Yeah? Oh, Mitt's here. Welcome, Mitt.
Welcome.
So hey Nikki, welcome. Welcome to my stream. Welcome to our stream. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So this login component, it consists of just this one button. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah? So let's see where it's used. If you click login, it should highlight login where it's used in the code. Okay? So if you scroll down to line 71, you'll see that's where it's being referenced. Yeah, right there. Exactly. So this auth check is, if you mouse over it, you'll see that it says auth check is a JSX element, and it tells you what it's doing. And in fact, it's deprecated. Looks like we should not be using it, but the trick here really is that it allows me to conditionally do one thing if you're signed in versus something else. Okay, so auth check fallback equals, and then in those curly braces, login. So what that's saying is, if you're not logged in, show the login component. And that's why if you're not logged in, you'll just see the button, right? So let's look at what that is. So if I'm signed out, all you see is the one button right in the middle. Okay? So a question you might have is, why is this button centered in the middle? And the answer for that is because it's in this header element. So this header element makes it centered and all kinds of stuff, okay? So if you're not logged in, you'll see the login button. If, on the other hand, you are logged in, you'll see everything else between the opening auth check and the closing auth check. So the opening one on line 71 and the closing one on line 91. So everything in between will be shown if you are logged in. So far, so good?
Yeah.
And what you've seen, what you'll notice I've done is the very first thing that you'll see if you are logged in is a sign out button, the avatar header thing, which I'll get to in a sec, and all the rest of the stuff that we were fiddling around with in the last few sessions, right? So let's see it in action. You sign in with Google, and then once you're signed in, you get the login page, starting with the sign out button, right? Conditionally only if you're logged in, along with this avatar header. And I'll show you the avatar header shortly. It's very cool. And then all the other stuff that we made last time. Yeah? Okay, cool. So far, so good. So the only other thing I wanted to show you then is this avatar header. Where does it come from? You guys want to take a guess at that?
Avatar header, as in like, it's imported from somewhere.
Yes.
Is it? Wait, it's not Material UI. What is it? Because that's more design stuff.
So it is composed of some Material UI. So one way to find out where it is you can
Scroll up.
yes, you can scroll up. You can double. So if you mouse over it, as you can see in my window, when you mouse over it, it says function avatar header. That means yes. That means that it's a function somewhere in this file. If you mouse over Sachi, for example, you'll see that it tells you it's a function Sachi import Sachi. So that's coming from something that's imported from Sachi. Yeah? If you mouse over paper, you'll see function paper and gives you a bunch of documentation there, demos, API, blah, blah, blah. But the important bit is the second line. It says import paper. So it's importing from paper, yeah? So a quick little thing you can do is if you hold the command button, it will underline the bit of code that you're on. And then if you click it while holding the command button and control on Windows and Linux, it'll take you to the definition. So now you can see what it's doing. So let's read.
Go back to avatar header and click it.
Yeah, command click on avatar header, and it will take you to the function. So here is avatar header. And this is what it's defined as. So it's defined, so let's read through the code and I'll explain what each line does. Because it'll be useful. We're going to be doing a lot of this kind of stuff when we start building our app, yeah?
I have to make notes.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're recording the whole thing, you know?
Oh yeah. True.
So you can just watch it again. All right, so this first line, 46, is the most brilliant bit of code. It's so short, and it does so much in one go. It retrieves the user that's logged in from Google. That's cool, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So just take a look at all the things we can do with it. We can do user, line 58, user.photo URL. That's how that's how you get the little icon of yourself. And user.displayname.
Masachi Sharma.
Correct. And there's more things in here. So there's the display name, there's the photo URL, and there's a few more things that are not currently being used, but we can display them if you wanted to. So let's take a look at what user contains. Sounds good? So we can just go above line 48, between 46 and 48, and we're just going to say console.log user. Okay? Console.log prints stuff out to the console in your browser. So save this, and you'll see the code run down here again. And then if you just jump over to your browser and open up the console, you can see what it logged. And so at line 47, it logged this IM. And if you scroll, oh wow, this is more complicated than I expected, but check out all the things that are here. Display name, email, whether or not the email is verified, this is in the browser. Sorry, let's go through it again. So if you open up your browser window with the React app running, and then do Command Option I, or yeah, Command Option I for you, Satch. And is it Command Option I?
The inspect.
Yeah. Basically, you're going to the inspector. Richard, are you able to open it?
Command Control I.
So if you can't get it from there, you can click the snowman and then go to I've forgotten how to do this. Oh, go down to more tools. After you click the snowman, go to more tools, developer tools. You're basically opening the developer tools.
Oh, Control Shift I.
Control
Okay,
Shift I.
Yeah, this is the one. This is the window that opens up accidentally, and then you go like, "Oh my God, what did that do?"
It's a tool to help developers.
Right.
All right. So if you open up this, let me teach you how to read what's going on in here, yeah? So you'll see a bunch of lines. Each one of these lines is typically generated by a log entry or an error or something like that from inside the JavaScript code, okay? And if you look over to the right, you'll see where it was generated. So you'll see that this IM thing that we logged is generated at app.js line 47, right? And if you hop over to the code, line 47 is precisely where we logged it. So that checks out, yeah? Checks out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you expand it, so this is an object, also called a JSON object, a JavaScript object, that is. And the JavaScript object contains all of these things in it. All of these fields is the word that we use. And there's a bunch of fields here that have like 2-letter names, and I don't know what they're about. Don't worry about them. The ones that matter are display name, email, email verified, and all these other things. Yeah? Now, there's one important one that I want to point out to you, which is UID. CG, capital I, M, blah, 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 blah. Yeah? Do you see it? So we're going to use that to identify the user in a sort of semi-anonymous way. So no one knows what CG, capital IM is, but to our app, we're going to use that to identify the user that's logged in, and we're going to store things. Yeah, that is called a snowman, Mitt. Just like the 3 lines is called the hamburger menu.
The cheeseburger.
Not a cheeseburger. If it was a cheeseburger, it would have 4 lines. Okay. There's such a long delay. I mean, Mitt didn't see that until like literally minutes later.
Wow, what the heck? It's been like so long. I thought you didn't have a delay, though.
I set it to normal because I didn't think, I don't know. Next time we'll do more live than this. Okay. All right. So far, so good?
Yeah.
All right. So let's close all this up and then head back to our VS Code. Okay, so here we are. We can remove this console log. We don't need that anymore. And I'm curious about the lag here. So Mitt, I'm going to snap my finger. When I do, send me a message.
He'll probably. You might be distracted.
I don't think so. I was talking to
I
him.
can just listen to it.
No, don't do it. Okay, this is pretty long. I'm curious about the lag here.
So right now in the stream you just said, I'm curious about the lag.
Yeah, you just snapped. That's weird. That was like maybe 30 seconds.
So,
All right, a 30-second delay. That's not too bad. With 30 seconds, I can work with 30 seconds. Okay, All right. First thing I want to show you. Where did Satch go?
I need the fan on.
Humidity building up.
It's okay. I understand what it is now, Mid. It's about 30 seconds. All right. So let's see. Okay. I think the next thing that we should do is start with the router stuff we talked about, right? That's the only thing I really wanted to cover. And then the homework for you, Satch, will be to start making a layout that's kind of nice for the app.
My fave.
Yeah? Okay, cool. The way I recommend we do this is first let me get to the router. Then after that you can sort of sketch it out, what you want the app to sort of look like. And then I will help, and then the homework will be for you to do the sketching, and then I will point you in the right directions for the tools that you'll need to do it. And then I will next time we'll see how, like, you'll try to implement some of it, and then however far you get, I'll help you with more of it. Okay?
Cool. Yes.
Okay. So the first thing you're going to need to be able to do is to reduce the complexity of this code, right? So right now, a lot of what we've done is all in the same file, right? And I've shown you that you can import stuff from other files. And what you should try to do when you're working in this environment is to break down your code into more manageable pieces, especially when those pieces are self-contained. Yeah? I will, of course, ensure that we do it right, so don't worry about anything. You can't make any mistakes. The last bit of stuff that matters is this Firebase App Provider. Everything under Firebase App Provider allows us to access the user, right? So as long as stuff is embedded somewhere under Firebase App Provider, we will be able to access the user's info if they've logged in. So all we have to do is make sure that there's an auth check around any code that requires the user. So for example, we're going to need the user if we want to be able to save any information to the database. We're going to need the user if we want to load any of the information from the database for that user. Yeah? And so the nice thing is, like, basically most of this can just be extracted. So let's do that. Let's make this code simpler. So what I like to do is almost all of our page is going to be, we can call it main. We can call it anything we want, but the main page that I'm thinking about should be everything inside the auth check. So all of this code, we should make a new component for it, and we should call it main. Okay? Make sense? Second of all, this login, it's already sort of nice. We already have a nice little login thing up here. We should put that into a separate file, right? And then this other avatar here, this avatar header, it's already fully self-contained. It doesn't need anything from outside of its own function scope. It should also be a separate file. And then we've, decoupled everything, okay? So homework assignment number 1 will be to do that. I will do 1 for you, and then you guys can do the rest, okay? So let me show you how to do it with login, okay? So we go up here, new file. I'm not sure if you're able to see. Anyway.
Is it on your screen? Do you want to share?
It's part of this. Oh, and it's a 30-second delay, right? So you can't just watch my stream. Okay. I'm just creating a new file. You'll see it appear shortly. Okay, so there's a new file there called login.js. And it's actually pretty straightforward. We just cut the code from here, paste the code over here. Yep. And that's not it. Unfortunately, there's a little bit more to it. We need to import everything, all the things that this thing needed. So we can see if this will automatically import, but unless we're running in TypeScript, the imports they're not as powerful. So what we'll do is I'm just gonna do this thing where I grab a few things. Just grab all the imports, basically. Because you,
Delete the ones that you don't need.
yeah, it's a little bit easier to do it that way. So paste. Okay. Especially because the app will tell you. So we need button. What else do we need? We need Firebase. What else do we need? That's it, actually. Just button and Firebase. So let's get rid of everything else. So there's a cool way to do this. Command-Shift-K will delete an entire line. So you can just go through things. We don't need this. We don't need
So
this.
much power in that. It's kind of scary.
The Pawa. And I don't think I need Firebase auth. I'm going to delete that too. And now I should be able to save login.js. So far, so good. Okay. And then in app.js, I need to reference it now. So login down here no longer references a function because we deleted it. So you should be able to control space on it. And unfortunately, it's not able to tell that it's there yet. Oh, I know the reason actually. Do you see at the bottom of my window it says initializing JS/TS language features? Wait, do you see that at the bottom of your screen? Hold on one sec. Let me.
No, I don't see that in my terminal.
Yeah, hold on a sec. Let me look at what you guys see.
It's
Oh,
just running right now.
yeah, yeah.
Let's see, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, can you do it for me? Go onto the login box in the VS Code, Satch. And then hit control, not that one, in app.js. Yeah. Right where my cursor is, click there. At the end, right after the end, right exactly where my cursor is, click there. And now push control space. Or, yeah, control space,
Not command.
not command. Okay, it's not working. That's okay though. I'll just type it myself. Oh, actually, I know what's wrong. Sorry, I made a mistake. So go back to login.js. I forgot to do this. You need to do export default function login. Save that. And let's see. Okay, now still doesn't work. Can I see you do it? You might be able to do it. Go back to app.js, do exactly the same thing.
It's already here though.
Go to app, yeah, so we're doing the control space again. So click there, control space. Scroll to the top. The second one, click the second one.
Gas station?
No, there's two logins there, the second one, yep. Beautiful, so that imported for you. I'm not able to do it actually. Mine on my screen, I have initializing JS/TS language features. So I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's not that important. But the VS Code is running an engine behind the scenes that is powering the autocomplete for you, and the intelligent part of the autocomplete is run in a separate process that needs to do basically some indexing of your files, and mine hasn't completed yet, and I'm not sure if it ever will because it's been stuck on the initializing state forever. And I think it's maybe a bug in the live share because I mean it's not my local window, it's running remotely against your window. So anyway, that's the story there. It's okay though. I don't need it, so we're good. All right. Okay. So now app.js should have compiled, and if we go back to the login window, it should still work. And it looks like it does. Test it by, by clicking the sign out button, click the sign in button, just make sure it still works. Cool, right? All right. So that's how we refactor. All right, next thing. Now we're going to do router. So router lets you make different pages accessible from different URLs in React. For your reference, Richard, the Vite, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
If you're doing plain old JavaScript, this is not a thing you need to do. This is only for React, because React is what we call one-page web apps or single-page web apps. Forget the name, something like that. Anyway, there's this thing called React Router. React Router. Here it is. Oh, you're not able to see me, right?
Correct. You
Hold-
do like a share screen.
Yeah, hold on. Present. Should I share my entire screen?
Or window, it's up to you. Depending on what you want to show us. It'll just share your whole screen.
Okay. Cool. Wow, I'm sharing so much sharing going on. I'm streaming, I'm sharing. Okay. So reactrouter.com. This is what we're going to install, okay? We're going to use web-based React Router. And here's the quick start. So, Satch, we want you to run this command: npm install React Router DOM inside of a terminal inside of your project. Oh, before we do this, no, let's keep going.
Okay, so should I share screen again?
Oh, did you stop?
Yeah, I just did it. Oops, I'm sharing again. So that's gonna remove yours, I think.
You can change what's pinned.
Okay. I'm gonna go to yours, then yours, and kind of small. Do I do it here? Down here?
Create a new, no, first create a new terminal.
ZSH?
Yep, always. You can just click the plus button directly. All right. And then,
Install something. You unpin. Oh, you're gone.
just Google search for React Router, and then you'll get the page I was on.
Dom is one of them.
The first one. Web. And we are starting with the installation, React Router DOM.
I like installing things in the terminal.
It's fun, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
When it says vulnerabilities, does that just mean that because it's a network-based thing, or is it because it's like a code-based thing?
So there are various packages that get installed when you do things. Those packages might be there's security people who go through those packages and they find vulnerabilities and then they flag them as moderate or high or whatever. And then they publish them somewhere so that when you npm install stuff, if you use those packages with those vulnerabilities, they tell you about it.
Okay.
And there is ways to fix it, but we haven't deployed our project anywhere, and there's no plans to do it right away. So we don't need to worry too much about those vulnerabilities for now.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now that that's installed, let's so you open up the web page with me, and then I will follow along showing you guys things. Because I want my stream to be cool so that everybody's following along, okay? So you can follow along too. So take a look. First example, basic routing. And there's these links here, yeah? So it says router. Do you see under the first example, basic routing, there's a component. The very first thing we're going to do is return a router. Yeah? And then inside the router, there are two important things. One is link to, So link to lets you make a link to another page in your app. And we're going to use that when, for example, we want to go to a different page. So let's say on the main page after you log in, you see the books that you're currently reviewing. There will be a plus button, and if you click the plus button, it needs to take you to a new page where you can fill out the review for another book, right? And so that button will essentially do a link to like a new thing, yeah? And then down here we have a switch. And what this switch does is it lets you decide which components are viewed when you've logged in. Yep. So far, so good?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do now that we've installed React Router is we're going to create a new component for routing. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. So I will show you how to do that. So we're going back to app.js. Could you, oh, you don't have to do anything. Never mind. So we're back on app.js, yeah? You can see me in here. So, yeah, unfortunately, I really would like to have the JSTS language features. It's unfortunate I don't get to have it. So sad. So sad. Okay. So I'm going to, on line 53, I'm going to do some, I'm going to create a new component. And what this component is going to do is it's going to wrap the main page that we currently have. Yeah. So this button stuff, starting from the auth check, everything contained in the auth check, we're just going to put this into a new component. Sound good?
Yeah.
So we'll just cut that out. And we can put these in separate files, and we should. But for now, we're just going to call this main, okay? Return all this jazz. And if we save it, it will not like it for reasons. Because, maybe I should put it in parentheses.
It's not inside of the line stuff.
Just put it in parentheses. Solve all the problems. Sorry. So this stuff can't live on its own. So let's put it in a fragment. This is called a fragment. Okay.
Yay.
Compiled with warnings because main is never used. So let's use main. So use main. So main needs to go here, right here, like this.
What's main again?
Main is this function that we just created that contains the original contents of our page. So if we
What we called it, what we named it.
yeah, we named it main. We can name it whatever we want.
Main sounds reasonable.
Main sounds reasonable? Okay. I think it's reasonable for now. It's
Because
not the
it's
most
main
reasonable.
Stuff, right?
Pardon?
It's the main stuff. That's why it's called main.
Yeah. But we need a better name eventually. Like we'll want something like list current, like the main page will probably be something along the lines of list your current reviews with an option with a button to create a new review. Or I guess not a review, but a what are we calling it? A book report?
Yeah, but I don't like this one so late.
Okay.
Yes, I said
Cahier.
Kaye.
So it'll list it will list the pages in your Cahier, and you can click the plus button to create a new page in your Cahier.
A new toy.
A new feuille. Sound good.
This is a French. We're converting it into a French app.
Only Canadians will like it.
Let's put a flag here, the Canadian flag, and have it rotate. All right. So So there we go. We've managed to extract the main bits of this code, yeah? So now we need to do the routing, yes? So let's create a new function called routing. We can call it whatever. I don't want to call it router because router is the name of the thing we're importing. So there will be a
Two the same thing.
yeah. And we're just going to essentially copy paste some stuff, yeah?
Love that.
Yeah, let's copy paste all this jazz because this is basically all we'll need. Almost everything we need is right here. We will eventually need some pattern matching to do some fun things later on when we want. So like when you're viewing one of your feuilles, you're going to want the feuille to have once a week, Mitt. We will want the feuille to be to have an ID associated with each feuille, and for each feuille, you need to be able to like edit it and write your stuff, set the book and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, so that means that we will need inside the path, right, to have a unique value that lets you look up any feuille. Does that make sense? So like for example, we might have a route path called feuille / the feuille ID, and that feuille ID will take you to that specific book report. Make sense? And there might be feuilles so that you can see a list of your feuilles.
There's always so many times.
Feuille. Okay. So we need to import router. I unfortunately can't because reasons. Do you want to import the router for me? Yeah, it's the TypeScript thing. I don't get any auto completions.
Because you're on. Oh, okay, yeah, I can do it. So I go here and then copy and paste this stuff.
Or you could just do control space after router and see if it will import for you.
Okay, up here.
Yeah, control space there. Oh, these are all wrong. Hold on, one sec. So I think what we should do is, yeah, we should copy paste the import like you said you were going to do. That's the right thing to do. I'm doing it. Here we go. And every time we do this, it would make more sense if we have this in a separate file. But anyway, so there's our router. And let's do a thing. I'll show you a little trick. Okay, so we have main there, right?
Yeah.
Let's create another thing, and let's call it main2, okay? And main2 is just going to say return I don't know, let's return something. Let's return the avatar header, okay? So main returns a bunch of stuff. Main2 returns a simplified version of that stuff, yeah? And what we're going to do is I'm just going to delete all of these things that I'm not going to use. So I don't need these things. What I need is just the switch and then the routes. So here are our paths. So the first path, if you're at the home, let's render main, right? And if you are at main2, or yeah, main2, then render main2. And the rest of this doesn't matter. And actually, I think the way they normally do this is you put it from most specific to least specific. I go watch Critical Role. What's Critical Role?
It's a D&D type of stream.
Oh, okay. Bye, Mitt.
Very famous.
Bye, man. Bye, Brandon.
Bye, guys.
Okay, so here's the router. And we have a switch. And then we're switching between main and main 2. Make sense? So, next. What do we... Do you want to take a guess at how we make the router work?
Is it an NPM related code?
Nope.
How do we make it work? We save it?
So what I want to do is make router get used. So, any ideas? Any more guesses?
Hold on. I don't know.
Okay, so we managed to get main by putting it here like this, yeah? If instead we want it to be, we want to use the router, we would just put routing here instead of main. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So now the composition is within the auth check. If you are logged in, then you will load the routing component. And the routing component will render either main or main 2 based on your path. Make sense?
I think so.
So let me show you what that means. So we've saved it. If we go to the page now, we go back to our app, here's the app running. It looks like there's absolutely no difference, right? But check it out. If you go /main2 now, it's going to give you the simplified one.
What's
So it's like the same page, but it only shows the Google sign-in instead of like everything else.
Are there like two different pages?
Ye-
Technically?
They're now 2 different pages. Yeah. So here's the main page, right? And this is what it looks like when you're signed in. Main 2. Make sense?
Yes. So we're going to edit main 2. Are we going to edit it to become another page in the app?
Yes, that's the idea. Sorry, I maybe I wasn't super clear about how we're doing what we're doing, but the idea is you can now have different paths up here that do different things, right? And you can link between them just by creating buttons that link. So for example, let's say I wanted a link between main and main 2, right?
Yeah.
The way I would do that is using this link to thing. So let's do that. Let's put a link in the app. So here, link to, we need to go to main 2 first. And we need to put a link in the main 2, yeah? So here is link to main. And then this needs to be in a fragment. So far, so good? So you can see me editing main 2, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's main 2. It now has a link. So if you go to main 2, there's a link. It says main, yeah?
Ooh,
If I click main, it takes me to main, which is this page.
amazing.
I know, right? And I can do the
Looks kind
same
of like
thing.
a back button.
Kind of. It's a link, right? I mean, we can do the same down here now. We can link to main 2, and then we can call it main 2. And now on this page, we'll have a main 2 link. And if you click it, it takes you to main.
Oh,
Back, forwards, back, forwards. Make sense?
yeah.
So, and now you can do more. Like, you can just make more pages that do more things,
That's amazing.
right? So this allows us to basically expand the complexity of our app. So, the next step is we've done a few things. We should commit the change that we've made today. So I don't know if I can edit here. Request read-write access. Can you grant it to me?
Did I do it?
Yes, you did. So we're just going to do git status. Here is everything. Git add. Git commit. And the message is going to be add routing. Yeah?
Yeah.
Using React Router. Git push. All right. So we are now, I think we're done for the lesson today. The homework is to
Design the app.
yeah, and move these functions that are standalone into their own files.
So have a file for main, a file for routing, a file for app.
App gets to stay here because app is
The app folder.
because app is already an app, right? But we want routing in its own app, in its own file. We want main in its own file. Main 2 is just a demo. It's fine to have its own file for now, but it doesn't do much. And avatar header into its own file. Yeah?
Okay. Yeah.
So we're going to do those things. And then the next thing is to sketch your app and how you want it to look. And now you can test it, right? You can create a new file. Like when you're done, you can create a new file that has all the contents that you care about, broken down by the components. Does that make sense? Let me show you what I mean. Let's say that you want to create your own view with your own path and everything. So like you're just testing your own thing, right? You can now do that. You can go to the routing here and just create a new route to your version of the app. Oh, and by the way, some of these things are in the wrong place. This header is in the wrong. Let's fix that real fast. So header makes sense if you want everything to look the way it does, but it's not the right thing. Because if you
I don't fall into the center.
yeah, it doesn't give you much control over the formatting because everything is just formatted to the center for you, which at the beginning is good because that's kind of what you want.
For simplicity.
But this doesn't belong at the top level. Yeah, okay. So but for now it's fine, I guess. No, hold on. Let me fix it. Let's move header into main. Okay, I think, oh, so it's backwards. It's supposed to be like that. And then, don't need this header anymore. Save. So if you do it this way, then now this is what the page looks like. This is what main 2 looks like. And if you go to main is the only one that's now using header. So if you sign out, your sign in page now looks very plain because it doesn't have anything in it. Right? So that's what our sign in page looks like. And it'll be useful for us to, remove all the existing formatting.
To make way for new formatting.
Yes. So I've set it up so that main is the only thing now with all of this excessive formatting going on. But there's still more cleanup to do. I will help with that next time. For now, let's just git commit. And this commit basically fixes a few things, just fixes the header. Move header to main only. Git push. All right. So Firebase is not a good branch name anymore because it contains routing as well. Oh well, too bad. It's okay.
Your organizational brain is
It's unfortunate. All right. So that's it for today. Got your homework?
Yeah,
It's a lot of homework. It's a lot of extra homework.
I got time, y'all.
Okay.
Also, do you want me to sketch on like an app, like a drawing app, or does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter.
Nice. Okay.
So, there's a few things that we can do. So to answer your question, it's useful to just look at things that already work. So here's Hagemashi, and this app already has a good layout. I spent a significant effort making the layout nice. So you'll notice that I have like, oh, I used the word routes this time. Routes is a better name instead of routing. Oh well. But if you look at app, you can see I have a main. And so here's what we have in this more polished version of the app. We have a theme. The theme provider lets us have like a dark and a light theme.
Oh yeah.
Then we have this CSS baseline. We do need to do this. And then inside that, we have our Firebase app provider. And then in there, we have main. And then main has this stuff. And I see how I've done it. So I have this container. What this container does is it makes the app look good on a phone as well as on a desktop by deleting margins to the left and right, and everything is sort of inside of a column. And then inside that, we have an auth check. This is the same auth check as before. If you're logged in, you'll get the routes page. If you're not logged in, you'll get the login page. And I believe that's how we ended up too. Yeah, auth check, routing, right? So we're pretty close. I mean, I wasn't following this, but you know, there's really only one good way to do things. So we're converging. We're converging on the one good way. So this routes now, if you go to it, is in a separate file. Here is the file. And as you can see, it's very similar to what we have right now. We have a route to the editor. This lets you go and see a given entry inside of the app. So entry ID is the ID for that particular entry. And if you're on the main page, then you'll see your encouragements. For this app, it's about encouragements. For our app, it's going to be the Kaye, right? This will be Kaye. Yeah? And so now if you go to Kaye, you get the avatar header, which you've seen because I copy pasted it from here and made it. This was the first time I made it, so we can reuse it. And then we have entries. Then we have a big container, and the purpose of this container is to basically make a box and make a button that sits at the bottom right. That's what all of this code is doing. It just makes a button sit at the bottom right.
Oh, like for creating an entry, like those little pencil things.
Yes. And you can totally copy this and do that. In fact, this is the add icon right here. You could.
You want that.
Yeah, you do want that, right? Feel free to look at this code. I mean, this code does all the things we need, so you can just copy paste it.
So it's on GitHub under Niwako.
Yeah, under Niwako Hagemashi. Yeah. Next, we have this entries. If you go to entries, this is all the existing entries. So if you've saved a few, this code will actually retrieve the entries from Firebase and list them out for you. So we have a list, and then we basically pull entry. So this entries thing is a JavaScript thing. It's coming from, where's it coming from? Right here. So it's just pulling the data from, for a given user, given that user's ID. Remember we saw that UID from before, that string? Do you remember? From way back in the day, at the beginning of our tutorial, we opened up the Chrome developer tools and I showed you the important thing, the UID at the bottom. That's this user.id. And this lets you retrieve a specific user's entries, right? Because you don't want to retrieve that some other user's entries. You need to retrieve your own entries. And then you pull all the entries, you order by the date, and then you loop over them, and then you list them all, and then you print them out. So you have like entry ID, you have entries date, and you have the entries content. Looks good?
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is all the stuff we're going to end up doing eventually. Okay, that's it for this project.
Hey, are you guys going to do poker stuff, or did you do that already today?
Now is poker time.
It's poker time.
Time for poker.
I stopped presenting now.
All right, poker time. So for poker time, there's two pieces that we're working on. There's the back end and there's the front end. And currently Rickles is working on the front end, and I'll wait for that to get done. And then in the meantime, I'm going to take care of authentication for our back end as well. So that, because it's not fun making that, and it's not easy either. It's not fun, it's not easy, but it's necessary. So I'll just do that for you. And what we'll have at the end is an API that lets us do things with the pokering. But yeah, I got what I needed from Rickles today earlier when he set up when he shared the account with me. So this is it here, our poker app, and I need to grant access to Satch so that she can also contribute to pokering. Add people to this project. Sachi. Add Gmail, who is going to be an owner. Save.
Perfect.
All right. Cool. Okay, that's it. What else do you guys want to talk about? Anything else?
Not that I can think of at the moment. Maybe Rickles has questions.
Well, I'm curious to know more about the back end of the poker stuff.
Okay.
I mean, I'm thinking, I guess you said you were going to use Python
Mm-hmm.
for that.
Yep.
And I guess what's like, well, maybe this is too far down the line, but like in terms of how to mesh the front end and back end, it would happen within this Google API thing that's happening.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not exactly sure how we're going to do this, but the gist of it, the high level, is we're going to run on this thing called App Engine. So here's App Engine. Build scalable apps in any language. So we're going to build an app in Python, and we're going to deploy it to App Engine. In our local environment, it's going to run, I'll show you, I was planning to use Fast API, which is a nice and simple tool for building backends. So this is our backend tool, and the backend tool, this Fast API, will talk to Firebase. I'm a big fan of Firebase because it's free. I like free. So I'm using all the tech that is free for us to use. So App Engine on GCP is free. Firebase on GCP is free. Everything else is not free. So I'm just pushed down the path of free, of most free. So here's the idea. We deploy a Fast API app onto App Engine. And our Fast API app will require the user to log in. That's the stuff I'm going to build for you. Once it's logged in, it will actually work almost exactly the same way that Satch's app works. So in Satch's app, there is this place where you can say Firestore, right? It's going to be DB in Python. So you create this DB, and then you can do .collection users, or maybe in our case it'll be .collection games, the current set of games. And then you'll be able to pull back information about a given game that's currently being played, right? So inside the game, we're going to have some data structure that contains, it's going to be a JavaScript object that we can store inside of Firestore, okay? And it's going to contain the entire game state. So it'll have things like, for example, what does the deck look like, right? So what is the order of the cards, essentially, right? So when we start a game, the server is going to shuffle the cards. So it's going to take a deck of cards and it's going to generate a random sequence of them. And we're going to have a shuffled deck of cards. Then we're going to take that shuffled deck of cards and save it. We need it saved because everybody has to be using the same deck of cards, right? We can't have it be a different deck of cards for different people. So we save the state somewhere. Then we deal from the top of the deck the same way that you would deal in real life. We will take cards off the top of the deck, and then we would assign each of the cards to each of the users that are playing, right? So when the game starts, we'll need a time when people can start the game. Think like Jackbox TV, where there's like a time limit. You fill in an ID number or something, or we can use some other mechanism. During that time, people will join the game, and then everybody will then be dealt cards, right? So the cards that get dealt will be stored in that same object that we create. So in that object, we'll have a list of all the cards, which is the order of the cards in the deck. Then we'll have a set of user IDs, and each of those user IDs will be dealt 2 cards, right? So far, that's what our object looks like. There's still more that we're going to need to put in there. We need to put in, for example, for this game, what is the big and small blinds? And then we'll also need to put in what is the current amount of money that each person has bet in each round, and whose turn it currently it is. And many other things. I'm sure I'm forgetting other state information that's necessary to play a game of poker. But what we should do is sit down, or maybe what makes sense is for your homework, for the back end, if you want to do this, is think about how you would structure some data to keep track of a given game, right? So you would need, what is all the different things you need to store into the state on the server for it to be able to play the game and stuff, right? So, and we can work on it together now. Let's work on it now. So let's open up VS Code, and why don't you I'm going to close my VS Code, cancel. This thing says I changed something, but I didn't change anything. Okay. All right. Could you share your VS Code with me?
Yeah. Okay.
This is so cool that we can just do things together. Actually, could you do it the way that, because we're on live share, could you right click me and then invite me?
Let's see. So that's feedback. Sash, I don't know how you did it.
So in the
Casey, in live share.
Yeah.
Right click this.
and invite Satch too, so she can join in on the fun.
I've never been invited before.
Got it. Accept. And I'm in! Yay! This is so awesome. Joined.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody.
Did you invite me?
Mm-hmm. Sachi Sharma has been invited.
How do I find it?
Bottom right, check your notifications.
Oh yeah.
Bottom right of your VS Code.
Oh yeah. Wait. I didn't get it.
Oh, it says it was dismissed. Sag.
Don't.
It wasn't me. Did you
And
do
it
it
says
again?
dismissed again.
I didn't do it this time for reals.
Richard Darkmon. Legion Y540.
That's an laptop.
Noise. Noise.
Lenovo laptop. Maybe I'll just message you. It's in the G chat, Sash. If you want to just join that way.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm not streaming. Oh, I am streaming Satch. No, Satch is not streaming anymore. Okay. Ready? So what I want to do is create a file called, well, you know what? We can use README. Yeah, let's do it in README. So I'm in README now. And a nice thing about README is that you can open up stuff on the right there. Okay. So let's see here. This is for poker. Poker state data. So this state information, as I said, is what we're going to store in Firebase. Yeah?
Okay.
Are you guys familiar with... You're not familiar with JSON, yeah?
No, I just imagine that JSON is the thing that, the only thing that I know about JSON right now is that it's the thing where we can store all the things we install. But
Okay. Well, that is a thing. That is also JSON. So Firebase stores everything in JSON as well. So we can store an entire document into Firebase as one big JSON blob. So if we can encode the game state as JSON, then we can basically in one go save game state and retrieve game state and synchronize game state between users. Okay, so that's our goal here. Our goal is to specify the entire poker game state in JSON. Okay, so that's our goal. That's our plan. All right. So let me give you the gist of JSON so that you understand the syntax that we're using. So curly braces is for dictionaries. They call it dictionaries in Python anyway. In JSON, I think they call it objects. But I prefer the Python terminology for this, so I'm going to teach you guys the Python terminology. It sort of makes sense no matter how you slice it, so don't worry too much. So in JSON, the key, a dictionary is basically a mapping from a key to a value. So you can have things like name, Shad. Or better yet, we can have first name, last name, Sharma. And this is typically how you write your JSON. Yeah? You can see over here it's color coding things for me very, very nicely. So far, so good?
okay. So this is are you creating strings here? Is this what
Yeah, these are strings. So in JSON you can have the different data types in JSON are numbers, string, Boolean.
Boolean is true or false, right?
Yep.
Nice
I believe that's it. Nothing else is coming to me. But you can look it up. Those are the important ones. And dictionaries and lists. So that's all of the things that you can encode in JSON. And typically, that's a very powerful set of things you can do. With that alone, you can basically do anything. So for example, you can have a key in a dictionary called a thing. And this a thing, let's actually call it a list. It doesn't matter what it's called. The key can be anything. And then this, you can now have square brackets, which means a list. So element 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we have a list of things inside of a dictionary. And now you can have a list of dictionaries where you have a list, and inside the list, you have dictionaries where you can have these things all over again. Let me show you what I mean by that. And this can be repeated like this. Like that. Interesting, huh?
Okay.
Questions that I can try and answer? Well, what do you think? What are you thinking about this?
So I'm imagining this is how, like, if we were to translate this to over game, this would be how you would organize suits.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, let's try to encode a game. Okay? So, here's how I would do it. We need to start... Well, should I just leave this so that you have an idea?
Yeah, it's helpful.
Okay. So you just want this to say JSON so that it encodes correctly on the right.
Oh, okay. So that enables it to be a JSON.
So in Markdown, if you do triple backtick, you can put a language name there, and then everything in the brackets will be color-coded according to that language.
That's neat.
I know, right? It's the
And
best.
it doesn't actually run, right? It's not.
No, it's just notes. It's just a... Okay, so all JSON docs start with a dictionary. Almost always, with few exceptions. So our dictionary at the top, it's going to be... we're definitely going to have a deck of cards, yeah? And I think the easiest way to define a deck is with some strings, but we can do different things. So let's see what they can be. You can have like ace of clubs, ace of ace of spades, ace of clubs, ace of hearts. Hold on, let's do ace of hearts next. Ace of clubs, ace of diamonds. Is that the order from Big Two?
Yeah.
Okay, that was my intention. So that's some cards there. And then we have king of spades. Then we have queen of spades. Then we have jack of spades. Then we have 10 of spades. I'm thinking, I don't know. This may not be the best way to go about it, but 2 characters every time is a nice and consistent way to encode everything. 9 of spades.
What happens when you come to another T, like 2 of spades?
This will be 2 of spades. So we'll use the numbers 2 through 9, then 10, jack, queen, king, ace. This is one option. Here's another option that might be better. So this requires a bit more space to encode it. But basically, you have a dictionary here, and the dictionary contains suit and value. So we have value, ace, suit, spades. This isn't better, in my opinion. It just uses more space and doesn't actually give us too much extra value. But one thing that might give us more value is something along the lines of this. Like instead of letters for the thing, we can use numbers like this. We can say, so there's 10. That means Jack is 11. Queen is 12. King is 13. And Ace is 14. So you might say 14 spades. The nice thing about this is that we can easily check what's bigger versus what's less. We can, like, ordering will be simpler to deal with.
That makes more sense in that case.
Maybe. So
You could always prescribe it to, like, if there's an A in the string, it'll be the strongest number. Or, yeah.
Value.
in poker, though, you can do ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's a straight, right?
That's the lowest straight.
But you can't wrap around, right? You can't do king, ace, 2, 3, 4.
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be interesting encoding the deck so that we can use it to check for different kinds of suits. Like when we're deciding who wins, we'll need the ability to, like, go through a set of possible hands that you hold, right? So, like, if you had ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you had 10, jack, queen, king, ace, that ace can be used in two ways. So we would need to encode the ace in multiple ways to ensure that we can do this. Anyway, we can think about it some more later. It's not super important that we figure it out now. And we can change our minds later too. But here is basically unencoding, right? And we can figure out later if we want a better encoding. So that's a deck. Next, so this is the deck we get when it's shuffled, right? It's not a good shuffle, but that's a shuffle, yeah? So, and this will be 52 in length at the beginning. So we will also need a list of users in the order in which that we're going to deal, right? So we will have players, and this is going to be the user IDs that are playing.
All right. So say it was you were signing in via Google, like you would be.
We're going to force everyone to sign in as Google for this game. But basically it'll be, we'll have access to first name, last name, and we're going to have their email. So far, so good. Let's put in more players.
How do you highlight?
Double.
That's not double clicking.
What?
Selecting.
What? I'm just typing. What?
How
What's-
do you select
I don't.
a section?
One sec.
Double click. So.
No, Don is using his typing skills.
I'm not.
Look at. I double click.
No,
Okay. So now we have our players, yeah?
I'm gonna win.
Okay. Next, now that we have our players, we need to be able to deal the cards to different players. Yeah?
We're not worrying about Annie's and all that stuff here, right?
Yeah, we are. We're worrying about everything. So how does this work?
So antes come before the cards are dealt.
Okay. How does that work?
So I mean, based on, okay, let's say like the number, like the buy-in is $5 or sorry $10 for a big blind and $5 for a small blind.
Okay.
And it starts on the left of the dealer.
Yeah. So the dealer rotates every turn.
Okay. So that means we need to start with who is the dealer, yeah? So the dealer is currently, who is it usually? The first person?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have our dealer. Next, next what happens?
Then to the left of the dealer is the small blind, and then the two players to the left of the dealer is the big blind.
Okay. We do not need to encode that if it's just going to be the people next in the list. We only need one pointer. We need the pointer for the dealer, and then the person next to the dealer, which will be Sachi, will be... So I think we want one extra person in here so that we can have someone who doesn't have a special role.
Yeah, agreed. Niwako has entered the game.
All right.
And Yuaku got her own name at Gmail.
Yeah, I mean, Niwako is actually a super unusual Japanese name. Even Japanese people are like, Ni what? Niwa what?
What about her sister?
Ni nani? No, Sawako is way more common.
I wonder what that's about.
Okay, quickly, 15 minutes, and then I have to go and eat my wonderful, wonderful dinner. Okay, so we have a dealer. We don't need to... so small blinds will be Sachi. Big blinds will be Richard. Is that correct? Okay. We can tell that just by having the single value dealer. We need to know the size of the ante, right?
Right.
And that's going to be... So people can only bet in the smallest amounts in terms of big blinds. Is that correct?
Yes. Big blind is the smallest bet that you can.
So we should have a bet size. That's going to be a number, like 2. And so now what happens is we force Sachi to ante up 1. What happens if you can't ante up 1? You ante up all that you have left, yeah?
All in.
Okay. And then we force Richard to ante up 2.
Yeah. I mean, there's another. If someone's forced to be all in on an ante, then it splits to create a side pot.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good to think about it now. We're just creating our list of storables, right?
Yes. But that's complex. I don't think it matters, though. You don't need to keep state of a side pot because you can tell based on who wins at the end and how much everybody has bet in total, you know who gets what. You don't need to store information. You can calculate everything at the end as long as you know the total amount that everybody bet. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. As long as it's tracking the amount, like the max amount that the all-in person has put in, then everything afterward, it will, it'll come. I think it'll work.
Okay. So another thing that we need here is how much money everybody starts with.
Right. How much money everyone starts with, and what the antes are.
Okay, got it. So let's see here. Okay, so let's start by putting the amount of money that everybody has in the players section. So what do we call that? What
Your pool or something?
yeah, is that what they call it?
Yeah,
Pool?
sure. And then the pot is winnables.
So let's say we all start with 500. Is that reasonable?
Be stack. Pool stack. Whatever you guys prefer.
All right, so now we know how much money everybody has. And we'll update the pool after every game. We need to update many things as the game progresses, but like, for example, we need to move who the dealer is. We need to update the total pool of everybody. We need to update the pot size, correct? All right, let's go. So we've got everything now, and the bet is now set. So we need whose turn it is, yeah? So immediately the turn here will be Niwako. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So the game starts with Niwako. She goes first. And she gets to choose whether she bets or not. Correct?
Correct.
At this point here, the bet size is 2. This means that Satch is actually $4.99 and Richard is $4.98. And we need to keep track of when those bets were made. I think it's okay to not keep track of who bet what at every round. We only need to keep track of the pot size. The pot, yeah? Do you agree?
You could say it's good to keep track in terms of keeping a log somewhere. So you can kind of see the players can see what happened for each turn.
So we don't need to, because what we can do is just keep track of every snap. Every time we make a change to this, we just store the whole thing. And then you can have a history, and you don't need to purposefully try to keep track of the history. So in other words, we separate the concerns. Keeping track of history can be a separate process from keeping track of the current state of the game. Teaching you some best practices in the industry. Okay. So now we'll have pot. So the pot here is now 3. Agree? So now it's Niwako's turn, and she can either bet. She can either fold.
Oh, it's your turn now.
The dealer gets to go first.
Oh, sorry. No, yeah, you're the dealer here.
So Satch is small blinds. Richard is big blinds. So Satch has contributed 1. Richard has automatically contributed 2. The total pot is now 3. Yes?
Correct.
You know what? I want to change this. I want to say how much has been bet so far instead of decreasing pool directly. Because she's small blinds. Because you're big blinds. The reason why I want to do it this way is because I think I'll need both of these numbers in order to calculate. We will need both of. I think we'll need both of those numbers in order to calculate split pots. Without it, we can't calculate the split pots. Okay, so now this plus this should be equal to pot. If that's the case, we don't need to keep track of pot, because it's the sum of all the bets. Okay, so now it's Niwako's turn, and she can bet. So on this turn, she bets. So she has two options. She can fold, or she can bet 2, or she can raise. So we need a status for every player, whether they folded or not. And the options are playing or folded, yeah? I guess there's a few options. You can either be playing, folded, or all in.
Yeah, there should be an all-in button somewhere. From what I've observed from playing games, usually it's a slider. An all-in would come up if like you reach the end of the slider.
Okay, so
That way
let's...
people don't like accidentally all in. So that's the state. Yeah.
Let's call it... Yeah, I think state is a better name. We have our 0 bet. Okay, so if you bet 0, then that means you have to fold. So you're folded. So you can be fold. You can be play. Okay. Now, Niwako could raise. So she could say 3. If she says 3, that means she's raised by 1.
So in that case, the minimum raise I think is because she's calling 1 and then raising. Calling 2 and then raising by 1. I think the minimum raise is the big blind.
Is the big blind?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be an if statement.
We also...
You wouldn't even let her do it in the first place.
Okay. We need to make sure that the person who last... if a person raised, the other person can raise again. And you can keep raising so long as everyone has not called. So long
as each player is in the playing state, which means they've called or, yeah, exactly.
Okay. So if there's 4 people playing and Niwako raises, then everybody else has to call in order for the next round to start. If anyone else raises, then Niwako has a chance to raise again.
Yeah.
So that means we do need to... So in terms of our game state, we need to keep track of everybody who raised, because we can't stop until everybody has been given a chance to raise again, or has gone all in. Oh my God! This is very complex state.
You could add another state for the sake of raising. But I'm wondering if that would make it.
It's okay. No. The work will be in the logic. Right now we're just focused on making the state all encompassing. Let's come back to raising later. Let's assume for now that everybody just calls, and we'll come back to raising later. So, because I think it's complicated. So we don't need a bet size here anymore. Let's remove this. So we bet here. Oh, we do need a bet size. Sorry, I was thinking about pot.
So players can see. Yeah.
So 2. So now the turn. So that was Niwako's turn. Then it's Shad's turn. Right? It goes to the dealer after that.
Right. And this is now.
So now I have a choice to fold, play, fold, call, or raise. So I think this state should be fold, call, or play. So let's call it call. So if I call, then that means the bet is now 2. Satch calls. So her bet is now 2. You check, which is the same as call without doing anything else. So that means Niwako did call as well.
So, in terms of the turn order, so I'm imagining, like, say it's someone's turn. So your state is, does that become important at all? Like, the fact that you're now in the playing state, like, your turn order takes precedent before that? Does that make sense?
Give me an example of what your question is.
So, like, there's 2 things running. So if your state is playing, the turn order is rotating, right? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, say it's Niwako just finished. So turn 4 is done. It goes to the next number, as long as that person is in the state of playing.
Yes.
Okay.
So while I'm trying to work out, so I'm trying, like, I think that how the game moves forward can be completely specified by a turn and everybody's state information.
Okay. Right.
So in other words, so let's go back. So I just did an example where everybody called or checked. Now let's do an example where everybody does not do that. Let's make someone raise, just for fun, to see how it would work, to make sure we have enough information in here to be able to decide what the next state, like, based on just a bunch of if statements. If a certain set of conditions are true, we know what to do next, right? So in this case here, we're back to Niwako, and let's say that she raises. So if she raises, then that means she went to 4. Yes? So if we raise to 4, in order for Shad to call, he has to bet 4. Let's say he is too rich for Shad's blood, so fold.
Right.
So Satch now says call. 4, so that means the bet is now 4, and she says call. Richard now says I call. That means your bet is now 4. We come back to Niwako, and I think we can look. We can say if she's the only one that raised and everybody else is either call or fold, then that means that round is done. Let's say instead Richard said raise, and then now the raise is to 6. So now Niwako, in order to, if she wants to, she can either raise again or she can call. Let's say she calls. So now it's 6. The turn comes back around to Satch. She has to decide call or raise. So let's say Satch calls. So now it's 6. And now you're back to Richard, and we look, and he was the one who raised. Everybody else is not raise. So I think that's the rule. If your state was raise and no one else, and everyone either called or fold, we're done. And and another thing, everybody has to. If everybody else was fold, the game's done. Okay. Next, so now at this point, we have to deal the cards. So Shad has folded, Satch is called, Richard has raised. The game's moving forward. We have a total pot size of 18. Yes.
Yeah, so in fact, the cards need to be dealt, have been dealt already at that stage. They should, as soon as the annies are done, that's when cards are dealt.
Oh, right.
But that's okay. It's not like, it wouldn't have changed.
No. We forgot state information. You're right. So each player needs to be given their hand. So let's add it here. Hand. And so we need to pull stuff off. So the hand is a list. And it's always going to be just two things, yeah?
Right. And then, yeah, as you prescribe, things from the deck, they should disappear from the list.
Yes. Okay, so there's the hands. Ace of spades. Ace of hearts. Everybody's getting an ace. Ace of clubs. Ace of diamonds. This is fun. King of spades. Ooh, Shad has a great hand. Queen of spades.
Everyone feels like they have a great hand.
Jack of spades. 10 of spades. Oh, poor Niwako. Nothing good there. All right. Let's get some more stuff on here. Let's do 5 of hearts. Give me a number.
7.
Give me a suit.
Diamonds.
Okay. So, one more. I need a... Give me a card.
Two of diamonds.
Okay. Done. So now, after all this, we have to deal the face-up cards, yeah? Oh, we have to also burn cards. That's not a problem. Burning just means we take stuff off and throw it away. We take stuff off to the top of the deck, and we discard it. We don't need to keep track of the burned cards. Technically, we don't need to keep track of any of this. The order of the cards that we generate at the beginning is all that matters. It's static. Nothing will ever change. I'm wasting effort here. We can put all of this back, in fact. Let's put it back.
Oh, so you just pull from 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and then 5.
It's just math. Pulling up what the cards are. It's just going to be, your hand will just be card 0 plus card 5. The Satch's will be card 1 and card 6, right?
It'll be like deck 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
If you want to. You don't even need to store it though.
Oh,
Because your hand is not going to change and the deck's not going to change. You see my point?
mhm.
Yeah.
Then in terms of, I guess it'll always be going to the next card. The counter will never go backwards.
Correct. So, well, what we do need is to keep track of the current state of the game. So there is river. So on the river is something. The flop is something, right? We need to keep track of that so that we know what is currently like every time you go around. So there is one round where everybody only has the two cards in their hand. Then one round when there's 3 cards on the table. Then one more round when an additional card is added. Then one more round when all the 5 cards are visible on the table. So that's the only thing we need to keep track of. What's the name of those things?
The river is the last one.
So it's just a round. We just call it round. 0 means 0 is 0 is when you have just the 2 cards in your hand. Right?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
So round 0 is when you have 2 cards in your hand.
Right.
Round 1 is when there's 3 cards on the table.
Right, the flop.
Okay. So we can just put a comment here. 0 is, what is that called?
You just call it the
1 is the flop. 2 is what?
The turn and the river.
So there it is. And in fact, the turn up here doesn't have to be the person's name. It can just be an index into this array. So we'll just put 0. So when it's Niwako, that would be 0, 1, 2, 3. And the dealer does not need to be the email. It can just be index into the array again. So 0. So there it is. Our full state, I think.
Nice.
So let's take a look now at pot divvying. It all depends on how much money you contributed in total, right? So I'm pretty sure that this allows us to do the math, even though I can't do the math right now. But let's do, I guess, an example where the total bet exceeds the amount of in your pool. So you ended up betting the maximum. So let's say Shad, no, it's not me. I'm rich. Let's start with someone who's less rich. Satch is not rich. So Satch has only 50. That means her maximum bet is 50. So if she goes all in, it means that she's 50-50 here. But let's say that I continue to duke it out with Richard up to 200. So that means that Richard also has 500, and let's say he ended up calling everything I did. So that means we both ended up contributing 200. Is that correct? Let's leave Niwako out for the time being. So if that's the case, and let's say Satch wins, and then after Satch wins, Shad wins, then that means that Satch gets 150, correct? And then whatever's left, I get the remainder.
Right.
Yeah, that's totally doable from this math. We can totally do that math with just this. So I think this is the full state. So now we need different values for state. We should use like state information would be something like 0 for call, or call and check are the same. And fold. So let's do fold as 0. 1 is call. 2 is raise. And then that simplifies this. 0, 1.
In fact, I think even having an all-in state might be helpful, because if there's multiple all-ins, then it can make things very complicated.
So we don't need that. All in is the state of calling where your bet is the pool size.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
But then if it comes to your turn, like it's an auto check. If there's a simpler way to do that, then.
So yeah, all you do is if your pool is equal to your bet, there's nothing for you to do in your turn. In fact, if your pool is equal to your bet, I think you're showing your cards, right?
No, not yet, because if there's other players still betting, then
Ah.
yeah.
Okay. That's it. We've got the full logic down. Let's save this into the README. Ooh, and it formatted it for us. That's nice.
Neato.
I shouldn't have deleted things. 0 is, what did we call it? Ante.
The ante, yeah.
1 is flop.
The flop and turn and river.
And this is index into players. This is beautiful.
Fun.
So I believe that we have the ability to store. Well, so we're going to basically store enum values into the Firebase. So even though all these things are stored as numbers, we're going to be able to reference everything with just with their names in as like capital letters. So we'll be able to say raise. So we'll be able to say if state equals raise, but we won't need to compare strings. We'll just have constants. It'll be fun. So there we go. Nice. When does the game end?
Awesome. The game ends. Well, there's a couple of situations. Everyone folds, or after players show their hands and their cards duke it out.
Everyone folds except for one person. Okay. Cool. All right. We'll build this. So what we're going to build later on is an API in Fast API that essentially on the server has access to this state, but sends messages to the client that only contain information that we can't store the whole, we can't send the deck to the client because then someone could look at the payload and know what everybody has. So what we need to do is only send back information that represents the state for that player. So likely what we'll do is we'll make one of these and we're going to have different payloads for what is the current view from so we'll probably have round, whose turn it is, what the bet size is. All this stuff is safe to send back to the client. And also the player, I guess the player information as well. The only thing we don't send back is the deck, right? But we do need to send back the player's hand. So we'll basically pull out from the deck what the hand is for each player and send it to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not as much coding labor in that. You just pull from whatever's available there.
Mm-hmm. Are you gonna want to work on the back end and the front end, Richard?
Well, my curiosity says I want to work on the back end, but then the realistic side of it is that's a lot of stuff.
Well, we start simple. Don't worry. It's not going to be that hard. I will help you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make sure you don't fall down the pit holes. The rabbit we've kept everything nice and simple. I've made sure that you didn't accidentally make it more complex than it needed to be. For example, when I told you we don't need all in, by demonstrating that it's easier to do it without it. Yeah. When you've done things as simple as possible, things are actually easy. So it'll be straightforward. Don't worry. And I'm sure this is not even the simplest thing we could do. This is just the simplest thing that I've come up with together with you. We might simplify it even more as we start building the game.
Right.
Okay.
Fun. Thanks, Don.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dan.
All right. So, does everybody have homework? Okay then. See you next Monday.
Yeah, see you then.
See you then.
Have a good dinner.
Bye, people who are watching the stream.
That's me.
And me. Okay, have a good dinner, Don.
See you.
Wait, what's for dinner?
Salmon chowder. I can smell it. It smells so good.
That sounds so good. That will be awesome, like you said.
It will be awesome.